Alright everyone, Ian here with Scotch on the Rocks. So today we're going to be going over tent stoves and what I got for Christmas, which was another tent stove. So one of the things we're going to go over is why I think this stove in particular went wrong, some of the issues that I've had with it, and what I think this stove is actually going to be able to help out with. I think it's going to fix most of the problems that this had. So this is going to be a non-stop video, so please bear with me for my ums and ahs and things like that. So let's get started. So I've had this stove for about a year, 2 years at this point, and I've used it quite a bit. It's worked well all the way up until about this point, and then it seemed like it wouldn't damper, it wouldn't hold heat down. It was just, like I said in my previous video, controlled detonation basically. So you'd load wood in, and you'd set the damper all the way down, and it would just take off. Everything would get red hot, and I had zero control over it. Now, after looking at it, I can see back here, there's actually holes. There's holes in the joints, right? All of this metal has warped. So there's metal in these. There's holes in these joints that allow air in. And the whole top, I can take the top off, and you can see. I'm not going to put this together because I've already put it together a bunch of my other videos. But you can see. I mean, look how warped this is. I mean, it's just absolutely warped. Same with this. You can see how warped this is. One of the biggest issues, though, was the fact that right here, right in the door, right where you have the control for your air, there's a big gap in between this door. So it didn't matter if I had the damper set all the way down or all the way open, air was getting in regardless. And like I had said, I was able to see flames, not open flames, but flames on the back of my tent. And if you look here in the bottom as well, you can see that this is completely warped and bent out of shape. So I think it might be time to retire this stove. Fortunately, this year for Christmas, my wife got me a brand new stove. And that's this right here. This is like an HUYU stove. I'll put the link in the description. But I did the measurements, and it actually is the same length, it's the same width, but it's actually deeper, which will allow me to put more wood in there and hopefully get a longer burn time. So that's a definite plus. The other thing that I like about this stove already that I can see is the build quality is just way better. I mean, it's got specific channels for putting the belly of the stove in. And it just feels better. You can see it's actually got screw holes, and it's not just riveted. It's not just hinges and things like that. Like, you actually have to build this stove, which I'm going to do for you here in just a minute. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to do a burn. That may not happen today, but that'll happen here in the future. Again, it's about 6 o'clock my time. It's dark out. Maybe we'll get a burn in. Maybe we won't. We'll see kind of how the lighting goes. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to assemble this stove. I'm probably not going to talk very much, but I will just put this stove together. Maybe I'll come up with a few things here and there, but let's get started. So, first things first, you want to make sure you got all your parts, right? And to be fair, I already checked and made sure that I had everything, so no worries there. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get this piece, and I want to get it into these channels. Now I can already see where it came kind of bent into two pieces, like it came bent. It's got two raised pieces right here from the factory. I'm hoping that'll burn out. If not, this looks like it's pretty easy. It'll be pretty easy to fix. It just looks like just getting a piece of sheet stainless steel and kind of putting it where it needs to go. Now with burning, when you burn, I said it in past with this, but in order to get a stove to set right for the first time, you need to burn it. What that'll do is that'll set the metal where it needs to go, and that's especially true for the chimneys. Metal has a memory, and so what you want to do is you want to get the memory set up to how it needs to be in your stove. You don't want it to be like this. I mean, this would never fit. So what you need to do is you need to put it in the stove, then get a decent burn in your stove, and it'll actually set it. Then when it cools down, it'll still have that memory of being in the stove when the heat was applied, and then you can start to roll it and not shape it, but you can roll it and package it for transport. That's how these chimneys work. When they come, they're just a piece like this, just a flat piece of sheet steel, or it's rolled, but it's not rolled how you want it. So what you have to do is you have to roll it, then you have to do a burn, and then it'll go into the shape that you want it to. Then you have the ability, like this one, to roll it to fit in your pack correctly. And when you unroll it, it'll go right back to the same shape of the chimney, which is really cool. I'm just going to get this metal in the slot here. There we go. There. Keeps wanting to come out again. This is all just first time sort of issues, right? Once we get the burn in and it sets proper, this won't be as much of an issue anymore. And I'm wearing gloves because obviously we're working around sheet metal, and when we do that, we want to make sure that we're wearing some form of protection on our hands. All right. And this is the back. Just so always for reference, make sure that your chimney hole is at the back of the stove. And now also, before I get going, you can see inside that there's these grated pieces, it looks like. You want to make sure that the metal is on the inside of the channels, okay? You don't want it to be on the outside. All right. Now, let's go ahead and shut this. Make sure that's stable. Okay. So now what we can see is that the sheet metal is actually on the inside of the channels. So that's good. That's what we want. The other cool thing that I really liked, that really caught my attention about this stove, is that it has actual wing nuts and screws. That's awesome. Again, this thing was all just hinges. I didn't, it worked. It worked for a while, but when it decided to quit working, it actually started to make me nervous, the amount of fire and heat that I was getting out of it. So it's got these little wing nuts. So what we do is we put one wing nut in the back, make sure everything lines up correctly, and it should just go in relatively easy. You might have to give it just a little bit of love, but you shouldn't have to give much. You don't want to start stripping out. Pieces of your screw or the receiving end there. Make sure that's just finger tight. And this one's also just finger tight. The other thing that I like about this is that it's only about 5 pounds. So again, it's just as light as this, but it seems like it's a better build quality, and it's going to last a lot longer. Now, and the feet seem to be better quality as well. But again, I'm just saying this based on first observations. We're going to have to do some burns with this to find out how good quality it really is. When I first got this, I was really happy with the fact that I could fold it and, super lightweight. And, like I said, it worked, but these things take time. I can't just say that, oh, this is a wonderful piece of gear right off the bat. No, I have to spend some time messing with it and finding out what its positives and negatives are. Do this. Let's put this one on first. Nope, that one's the front one. This one's the back one. Come on now. There we go. There we go. All right. And we have another wing nut. And just make sure, again, this is hand tight. We don't want it to be too tight. Again, we don't want to start warping things before we even get it going. And voila. Just like that, with minimal amount of fighting, we got it all set up. The other really neat thing about this is that it's got a built-in damper and a built-in spark arrestor, whereas with this one, here's our column that connects into the stack. This was our damper, okay? That was not a real high-quality damper. It didn't work really well, but you just put it in, and you could damper it just based on this. But you can see there's still a lot of movement and a lot of space in between right here, in between the sides. So not the best. So all we have to do now, we want to make sure that the chimney damper isn't someplace where we're going to hit it on the side, right? So I have decided that I'll just set it in the back right here, just like this, so it's out of the way. When I go to move the chimney damper, I don't have to worry about burning any of my fingers or anything like that. We will go, I think I will have time to go and do a burn real quick. So let's get this together, go outside and do that. Hey, I'm back. So we're going to actually do a burn with this. And I'm going to use the old chimney. So this is the old chimney. You guys have seen that in a bunch of my other videos. I don't know if you can see it because it's off camera right now. But I'm not going to waste my time with this one right now. It's brand new. It hasn't been set up right. None of that's been done. I'm just going to use this chimney to get the burn out of the way. I'm fixing to go on a month-long trip to a different city. I come up with a million excuses as to why we're not going to mess with this one. I'm actually going to turn off my mic pack. You won't really hear anything. And that's on purpose because this is actually super loud. You can hear it. It just sounds terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut my mic pack off. I'm going to set this up. I'll show you. I won't talk, but we'll get it all set up and then we'll take it out into the backyard and we'll do a real quick test burn. All right, I'll be back with you guys in just a little bit. All right, and we're back. I know there was some kind of talking. My wife came in. We were kind of having a conversation, but that was incredibly loud. You could hear it upstairs. You could hear it down here, and it was kind of a chore because I'm going from a bigger diameter. I'm going from a bigger diameter chimney to a smaller diameter chimney. So again, another learning curve, but we got her sorted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack everything up. We're going to go outside. We're going to get a real quick burn in. Things you may or may not be able to see when I get the burn going. It's going to smoke. That's just the oils and everything burning off for the first time. And the other thing is that all this is probably going to change color. It's going to turn into like a blue, anywhere from like a blue to a gold to a purple. That's normal. That is absolutely normal. No need for concern, okay? So I'll get it back out there and we'll get her going. And we are back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that hyperlapse segment. I tried to do that just when, it was just burning, not really much for me to say. But we're kind of at that point where the stove is dying down. all it's gone through most of its fuel. There's some embers in there. What I wanted to show you is kind of the color, right? So you remember how it was, silver metal? Now we got a nice bronze looking color. We got a little bit of purple going on there, a little bit of gold, a little bit of blue. That's what we want. That's what we're shooting for with these. We want to get them to a different color so that, like I said, everything fire forms into the way that's supposed to be. One of the things that I noticed that I already am concerned about with this stove, though, is I don't know if you can see it right here. You can see where it's already starting to warp a little bit. Now, I kind of suspected that would happen with this bottom piece because, like I said, it's just super thin sheet stainless steel. But I mean, it is what it is. We'll try. We'll just make sure that we monitor it. But I just wanted to show you guys these colors, and you can see they're all around. They're on each side. It was a really good burn. In fact, if I go at this angle, you might be able to even see it better. You can see these purples. You can see these purples and golds and blues. It's perfect. That's exactly what we want. The other thing that we need to pay attention to is the chimney, right? It actually, I don't know if you could see it, if you could see it on camera, but it's actually bending just a little bit. Not the chimney, but right where it hooks in, bends in. So hopefully when we have it in the tent, it'll keep the chimney horizontal, straight up and down. I think that about wraps it up for this video on Scotch on the Rocks. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.